Hello viewers, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This is MD Saiful Islam, an assistant teacher of Oregon High School of Bangladesh, and you are most welcome in my Saiful English Academy again. It's also that you are very fine by the place of which you are and watch my previous classes smartly, beautifully, nicely, etc. And with the reference of my previous classes, first class I have been present in tutorial with the new class. And how to identify an adjective from the sentence, how to identify an adjective from the sentence very easily. So, my dear learners, now let's take a look at the word and try to understand. In my previous classes, my dear learners, about rules of filling gaps, already I have uploaded three, four class and class number one, class number two, class number three, class number four. In my class number one, you were told that, my dear learners, definition and some examples of various kinds of parts of this. In class number two, you were told about position of a noun. In class number three, we were told about how to identify a noun from a sentence to say various kinds of suffix. And in my class number four, you were told about position of an adjective in a sentence, and with a reference of my previous classes, class number one, class number two, class number three, and class number four. Today's class I have been present in front of you with a new arrangement in class how to identify an adjective from the sentence. So, my dear learners, now let's take a look at the board and try to understand. My dear learners, we know that we can identify an adjective in various ways to see the suffix, But from the various categories of identification of an adjective, only I have taken 21 categories of suffix by which we can identify an adjective from the sentence very easily. So, my dear learners, now let's take a look at the board and try to understand. I have written the specific suffix such as ed, y, al, fl, full, le, double s, let's, ive, ever, ic, it, able, idle, ous, ary, ory, ant, ent, er, est, iss, ar, he, n, ing. Okay, let's try to memorize with me and try to save in your memory as far as possible. So, let's now I'm trying to show you some example with the reference of this suffix. So, let's now let's take a look at the board and try to understand. Now, think about first suffix called ed. For example, we can say that, my dear learners, educated, educated, learned, insulted, polluted, polluted, developed, developed, corrupted, corrupted, etc. Okay, my dear learners, I may suggest you, my dear learners, if you notice it is suffix any words, you'll have to mind that, my dear learners, such kinds of words, of course, an adjective. You may self and you may try to mind that, my dear learners, although that you have understood clearly. Next, think about next suffix called y, oi. Yeah, if we want to exemplify such kinds of suffix, we may write healthy. It's a familiar word. Healthy, oily, bloody, stormy, stormy, dirty, IRA, etc. Okay, then let's if you notice this suffix y is used in the midst of any words in which share sustains words of words and adjective. Next, suffix may learners al. For example, national, international, Harvard, formal, actual. Okay, various kinds of example may be given with the reference of this suffix middle limits. Next, come to the main French. Next, suffix for ful, full. For example, beautiful, one job, full, wonderful, harmful, careful, etc. Middle notes. If you notice this suffix called ful, full, in the midst of any words, you may consider such kinds of words supports an adjective. But you have understood clearly. Middle notes. Next, suffix les. Okay, middle notes. For example, harmless, useless, meaningless, am less, helpless, helpless, etc. My dear learners, if you notice this suffix called les, you may be sure such kinds of words occurs an adjective non-word rather first suffix. You may be sure, 100% sure. My dear learners, next, think about next suffix ive. For example, active, passive, active, passive, creative, attractive, productive. You'll have to mind that, my dear learners. There are various kinds of words we can see in our grammar which possess IVE suffix in our English grammar. Mind that, my dear learners, you may be sure, 100% sure, if any words is possessed IVE suffix, of course, such kinds of words, non-word and adjective that you have understood clearly. Next, suffix I say. Next suffix I say. You'll have to mind that, Netherlands. It's a very important suffix to identify an adjective. We can say many words such as of such kinds of suffixes such as basic, basic, republic, republic, democratic, democratic, public, etc. Hope that you have understood clearly. Let's next now think about next suffix able. For example, profitable, honorable, respectable, remarkable, etc. Medallion, I want to suggest you if you notice the kinds of suffix A word, such kinds of words you may consider such kinds of words non-word and adjective that you have understood clearly. Now think about my dear next suffix called evil. I B L A. E ball. Okay, my dear for example, possible, next, impossible, impossible, visible, invisible, invisible, responsible, responsible. It's a middle learners. If you notice the sense of suffix called IBLE, that means evil. Of course, you may consider such kinds of words none but an adjective. Now think about your next suffix O U S. You'll have to mind that OUS, this suffix is a very important suffix to identify various kinds of words of adjective. For example, serious, glo- glorious, conscious, poisonous, poisonous, etc. Middle notes. If you notice this suffix in the words, you may consider such kinds of words, of course, non-word adjective, non-word adjective. Of that you have understood clearly. Middle notes. Now think about next suffix called a or e. For example, primary, secondary, temporary, necessary, unnecessary, necessary, etc. Okay, my dear learners, if you notice such kinds of suffix in a words, you may consider such kinds of words, of course, non-word and adjective. That you have understood clearly. Now, my dear learners, think about your next suffix O R A. My dear learners, for example, of, li, okay, sorry, com, per, sorry, exclamatory, exclaim, main, sorry, etc. Okay, but then that's if you notice the suspense of suffix in the words O R Y. Of course, suspense of words, of course, non-word and adjective. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now think about next suffix named A and T, number 13, A and T. Okay, my dear learners, for example, that kinds of example will be given with the reference of the suffixes such as important, important, unimportant, next, significant, significant, pleasant, pleasant, okay, etc. Magellaners, if you notice the kinds of suffix a and t called a and t in the midst of any words, you may consider such kinds of words non-word and adjective of the job you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now think about next suffix e and ch. For example, Magellaners, e and ch. Such kinds of suffixes are very important suffix in our English grammar, by which we can identify an adjective from any sentence. For example, we may exemplify various kinds of words such as dependent, dependent, independent, independent, excellent, excellent, diligent, diligent, present, present, absent, absent, different, different, indifference, etc. My dear learners, I want to suggest you if you notice a sense of suffix in a word, you may consider suspense of words, number and adjective. Hope for that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now think about your next suffix number febchin. Febchin, E R, such as stronger, stronger, weaker, taller, better, bigger, etc. Okay, maybe that's if you notice a sense of suffix in a word, you may consider suspense of words of an adjective. Er, e r. Maybe learners, you'll have to mind that, my learners, it's very important and conversative suffix. Sometimes we can see suspense of suffix to identify noun, but I want to clarify about the complexity between noun and adjective. Noun and adjective. You'll have to mind that, my dear learners. If you reduce ear, suspense of this word is a verb, of course, noun. But if you delete ear, and this word you can get if suspense of this word or keyword is an adjective, of course, in this sense, you may consider suspense of a word, of course, an adjective. Of that you have understood clearly, my dear learners. Next is suffix name est. For example, strongest, weakest, tallest, best, biggest, etc. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, now think about next suffix. So ISS. Number 17, ISS. For example, bookish, bookish, lavish, impoverish, etc. Okay, my dear nuts, if you notice, ISSA suffix in a words, you may consider such kinds of words, non-word and adjective. But you have to mind that sometimes we can say various kinds of words of verb ISS. So to see the suffix is, but you have to mind that we'll have to select position of verb and position of adjective. If you notice such kinds of words mixed with the suffix is used according to the position of adjective. Of course, such kinds of word adjective. But if you notice such kinds of word is used according to the position of a verb, you may consider such kinds of words, of course, a verb. You have to mind that, my dear learners. Trying to clarify about the complexity between verb and adjective, about the suffix I as s. I as s. Of that you have understood clearly. Now think about, my dear learners, next suffix a r. You'll have to mind that, my dear learners, er suffix is very 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 important suffix to identify the adjective, which we can see various kinds of words in a sentence, used in a sentence. So maybe let's various kinds of example may be given with the reference of this suffix, but I want to write only two or three examples, such as similar, similar, particular, 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 fail, may, the are, etc. Of that you have understood clearly. Now think about next suffix he. For example, lhe, light, intimate, intimate, passionate, passionate, considerate, considerate. The kinds of various kinds of example may be given with the reference of the structure, but only I'm trying to use some examples such as late, intimate, passionate, considerate, considerate. Hope that you have understood clearly. Now, thinking about your next suffix en. You'll have to mind that, my dear learners, e and suffix is a very important suffix to identify an adjective from any sentence. Various kinds of example may be given with the reference of this suffix, but I want to write only two or three examples, such as R10, R10, wooden, wooden, gold, then woolen, etc. Okay, major notes. Which kinds of example may be giving you the reference of this suffix. Next and last number suffix of today's class, ing. You'll have to mind that, my dear learners. Ing suffix is a very important suffix, but this suffix has a problem because sometimes we can see various kinds of words mixed with the suffix ing in a noun. But you'll have to mind that, my dear learners. We'll have to be sure ing suffix form is of course a noun and adjective verb. How can we identify and how can we understand such kinds of words, noun or adjective? We'll have to mind that, my dear learners. In this case, we'll have to mind that if such kinds of words mixed with ing suffix according to the position of noun and adjective, because if such kinds of words is used according to the position of a noun, of course noun, but if such kinds of words, that means ing mixed suffix words is used according to the position of an adjective, of course adjective. Thank you. Hope that you have understood clearly. Interesting, interesting, boring, boring, learning, etc., etc. Of that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, in this class, I'm trying to make you understand with this 21 categories of identification of an adjective from various kinds of sentences. So, my dear learners, I want to suggest you, my dear learners, you may try to save and try to mind a sense of suffix to identify an adjective from various kinds of sentence. My dear learners, I don't want to learn into this class, but I want to share some information with you. Of course, you know that, my dear learners, I'm a new teacher or new teacher in YouTube channel, and I'm trying to use English conversation at the time of making my various kinds of video classes. So, my dear learners, if you notice any faults or mistakes in the midst of my video classes, please excuse me and try to make sure so that I can help you. I can cooperate you with my video classes to my life. My dear learners, now today comes to you again with a new video class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.